On the news tonight, Senate confirms Professor Joash Amukwiton as new INEC chairman. Wike takes swipe at Peter Obi, says he would continue to contest as president on social media. Medical experts rules Nnamdi Kanu fit to stand trial, says ailment not life-threatening. On the foreign scene, at least 2 shot dead in Kenya after opposition leader Raila Odinga's body repatriated. Good evening. This is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael. The Senate has confirmed Joash Amukwiton as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Amukwiton, a professor of law, was confirmed by the upper chamber after his screening this afternoon. His confirmation came after over 2 hours of questioning by lawmakers who pressed him on how he plans to restore credibility to Nigeria's electoral process and implement meaningful reforms within the commission. The 58-year-old Don was nominated by President Bola Tinubu and received formal endorsement from the National Council of State last week. During the screening process, Professor Amukwiton said the electoral body's failure to upload presidential results on INEC result viewing portal eroded public confidence. Amukwiton becomes the 6th substantive chairman of INEC, succeeding Mahmoud Yakubu, who has officially concluded his tenure as the INEC boss.
The purpose of introducing BVAS and IREF was to ensure the integrity of the election, and that is the purpose of technology all over the world. I believe what happened in 2023, which was subsumed as a glitch, before we went into the election, my own understanding and based on the review of the decisions of Supreme Court, we found that there was no clarity as to the purpose of BVAS, of IREF. Not until the Supreme Court came out to say that IREF was not an electronic collation system. And that position was not properly brought out before the election. The INEC was supposed to be a safeguard for comparison, because the laws made by this distinguished Senate did not do away with manual collation. However, IREF was supposed to provide some guarantees and checks and balances. But owing to the issues of glitches, which in simple time, I understand as improper configuration, especially during the presidential election, that eroded the confidence of so many people. So, as His Excellency the Senate President said, I have to audit the system if I'm given the opportunity to see what is actually wrong and whether we have what it takes as it is now. Because it is not just the INEC responsibility alone. You have the other agencies like NCC, NIMC, and the service providers.
Meanwhile, efforts to amend the 2022 Electoral Act hit a stumbling block in the Senate on Thursday, following intense debate during plenary. The legislative process, which has commenced with a lead debate by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, Senator Simon Lalong, Plateau South, met some resistance during the general debate. This stalled further progress on the proposed amendments. Amidst the deliberations, the president of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, revisited the 2019 general elections, during which he alleged he was a victim of electoral injustice in his bid for the Akwa Ibom West senatorial seat. The Senate therefore stepped down consideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill to another legislative day for further clarification, for further consultation.
Office, which is against the Electoral Act, and then the court says who committed should be prosecuted, and they prosecuted the wrong person. So we must also look at what INEC is doing. INEC should be held responsible for certain infractions in the Electoral Act. All the rumors and all the misconceptions and everything, I want to, anybody who has sense will ask the question. If the returning officer was trying to assist Senator Godswill Akpabio, how come the votes were hijacked to INEC headquarters, and INEC headquarters announced a different person, which was annulled in the court? So the person that went free ought to have been the person to be prosecuted. So if we are going to amend the Electoral Act, it must be all-encompassing. And also the timeline for elections and timeline for campaigns. You can't be campaigning for 8 months, and then you add another 3 months. You resign from your place of work 3 months before, then you go for 8 months campaign, and everything comes to 11 months. So a president who has a minister that has a political ambition cannot even have, because he has six weeks before he appoints, he has 2 months before, 60 days to send the list of ministers for clearance. So if you add that to the so-called 3 months before primaries and the 8 months of campaigns, it simply means that in a 4-year period, governance will suffer. Those who are supposed to serve the public will not even have the opportunity to do it up to 3 years in a 4-year tenure of any administration. Those are the things that
in the Green Chambers, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, and former Kano State Governor, Rabiu Kwankwaso, were some of the dignitaries at Thursday's valedictory in honor of former Speaker, Agunwa Anekwe. Anekwe, who was the Speaker in the Bosch Third Republic, died in July 2025 at the age of 69. He was Speaker on December 5, 1992 until November 17, 1993, when the late military dictator, General Sani Abacha, sacked the Ernest Shonekan-led interim national government. As a sign of respect for the departed politician, the casket bearing his remains was brought to the main lobby of the National Assembly, where lawmakers from both chambers paid their last respect. Leading the flood of tribute at a session attended by Anekwe's immediate family members, Honorable Abbas describes the valedictory session as an opportunity for lawmakers to assess the nation's leadership trajectory, identify gaps, and take actions to right the wrongs of the past.
At a time when Nigeria stood at a complex intersection of political transition and democratic aspiration, he assumed the speakership in 1992 and guided this House with composure and clarity of purpose. He recognized that the strength of a legislature lies not in power for its own sake, but in the responsible exercise of authority. He approached the speakership not as a platform for personal elevation, but as a constitutional trust. Under his leadership, the House maintained coherence in the face of political uncertainty. He upheld the sanctity of this House and demonstrated that even in turbulent periods, legislative order can be preserved through restraint and conviction. Beyond his tenure as Speaker, Right Honorable Anekwe continued to engage national issues with depth and moderation. His voice was thoughtful, not performative. He valued dialogue over division and consistency over conviction.
Turning to politics, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has taken a swipe as a former Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, saying he would continue to contest as president on social media, but not as president of Nigeria. Wike stated this on Saturday during the inauguration of the newly constructed roads in the Mabushi district of Abuja, following Obi's recent criticism of the state of public schools in the FCT. The former Anambra State Governor heads during a visit to LEA Primary School, Kapua, on Wednesday, describes the conditions of the school as a national disgrace and evidence of Nigeria's hollow commitment to education. But reacting, Wike accused Obi of playing politics with everything and using emotional public appearances to gain social media sympathy. He questions Obi's moral right to criticize any government on infrastructure, alleging that the former governor prioritized personal financial interests over the development of Anambra State. The minister further claims that he had achieved more in 2 years as FCT minister than Obi did in 8 years as governor.
Some people, because of politics, for example, I hear one of the social media presidential candidates went to one of the local authority area schools and was saying the government has abandoned public schools. In particular, his name is Mr. Peter Obi. It is not everything you must play politics. But let me say this. Peter Obi, you were governor for 8 years in Anambra State. If you have finished all the jobs in 8 years, nobody will be talking about developing Anambra by now. 8 years. Instead of developing Anambra, you took the money and put in the bank you have interest, Fidelity Bank. And why did you have problems with your successor? Anambra State had problems. The money was there to develop Anambra State. You only prefer profit and put the money for the development of Anambra State in the bank you have the largest share. So a profit will be coming and Anambra will be suffering. Mr. Peter Obi, we just came into office 2 years ago. We have not even stayed 4 years, but you stayed 8 good years. Compare 2 years in office of what we have done in FCT and compare 8 years in office in Anambra. Can you really say you love this country? Can you really say you love Anambra? Certainly not. If I were you, why not be quiet? Enough is
In the courts, the team led by the president of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, has said the ailment complained about by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, is not life-threatening. Justice James Omotosho had ordered the medical team to ascertain Kanu's actual health status following conflicting claims on the issue by medical experts engaged by the prosecution and the defense. In the panel's report submitted to the court on October 13 by the prosecution team led by Adegboyega Awomolo SAN, as part of which read, beg your pardon, in the panel's report submitted by the court on October 13 by the prosecution team led by Adegboyega Awomolo SAN, part of which was read during today's proceedings, it was stated that the defendant's ailment is not life-threatening. The team concluded that Kanu was fit to stand trial. Based on the information contained in the report and in the absence of any objection from lawyers to the parties, Justice Omotosho said the court was convinced that the defendants could proceed with the trial. Justice Omotosho subsequently granted the defendant 6 consecutive days, beginning from October 23, to open and close his defense. In the meantime, the Federal Capital Territory High Court has adjourned hearing in a 5.5 billion naira defamation suit filed against the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, by 2 operatives of the Department of State Services to November 12. Justice Halilu Yusuf adjourns the case following the absence of SERAP's counsel, Chief Ebunolu Adegboruwa, SAN, who wrote to the court requesting a new date due to a conflicting engagement at the Court of Appeal in Lagos. The suit was instituted by Sarah John and Gabriel Ogunleye, both DSS operatives, who alleged that SERAP made false and damaging claims against them in media publications, accusing them of unlawfully invading an office. They contended that the publications tarnished their image and subjected them to public ridicule. The claimants are seeking 5.5 billion naira as damages for defamation and are also asking the court for perpetual injunction restraining SERAP from making further defamatory statements against them. 4 former operatives of the Anambra State security outfit, Operation Udogachi, have been arraigned before the Children, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Court sitting in Oka for allegedly assaulting a female National Youth Service Corps member serving in the state. The accused Emmanuel Sampson, Jude Obasi, Michael Ndudirim, and Ezinwane Nweke were charged alongside others now at large. In the 7-count charge filed by the State Commissioner of Police, Ikioye Orotogo, the defendants were accused of conspiring to commit felony, indecently assaulting, inflicting physical injuries, stripping, and unlawfully intimidating a corps member at Oba, Idemili South local government area of the state. According to the charge sheet obtained by Newsman on Thursday, the 4 defendants pleaded not guilty to all counts. Following a bail application by the Defense Counsel, the presiding chief magistrate, U.E. Onoche, granted them bail and adjourns the case to the 14th of January, 2026. Into security, the Kogi state government on Thursday orders the security agencies to raid a bandit camp in the outskirts of Aherin Bono community in Kaba Bono local government area of Kogi state. The operation was carried out by joint security forces, including the military, police, and vigilantes led by the State Security Advisor, Commander Jerry Omodara retired, who set the entire camp on fire. Omodara explained that 2 suspected kidnappers who sustained gunshot injuries in the ongoing onslaught against criminals across the state hid in the bandit camp, receiving local treatment. Omodara explained that when security agencies came down to the very location in the forest, they were picked. He reported that the state governor, Alhaji Ahmed Ojojo, has directed that any house that criminals and bandits are using for treatment, such a house must be demolished. And here in Osun State, the State Police Command has denied arresting 20 operatives of the Amotekun Corps in connection with last month's killing in Akinlalu, a community in the Ife North local government area of the state. The command spokesperson, Abiodun Ojelabi, stated this in a news chat on Western Spring Television this morning, noting that only 5 suspects were arrested and not all belong to the security outfit. The police image maker further disclosed that the command has invited the head of the corps in the state, Adekunle Omoyele, but is yet to honor their invitation.
Made a press release as that when Osun State Police Command was investigating that matter, we've arrested 5 suspects. And the 5 suspects are not all Amotekun. The person that went to report to the Amotekun about the cocoa stealing was arrested. You understand? When the Amotekun operative was carrying the person to effect another arrest, there is one other person that he was part of those that engaged before the snatching of the rifle from the Amotekun. He was also arrested. I get me. So, and we have 2 Amotekun corps also that was arrested.
So in total 5.
Yes, we have 5 altogether. When the IRTFID came, they took over the matter, and as of yesterday, the PRO Amotekun confirmed to me that yes, we have reached, the IRTFID have written to them, and they have handed over some of their operatives to the investigative body.
Mr. Jalabi, all right. Can you confirm the assassination attempt on the life of the Amotekun Corps commander, Mr. Omoyele in Osogbo? Can you confirm that particular attack?
Confirmation of attack. It is, the law says he who alleged must prove, you understand? When the matter was reported, not through Omoyele, 2 of his operatives came and reported the matter. And we listened to them. Okay, the next thing is for us to do our duty. Where is Omoyele? Let him come and tell us what really happened. How did it happen? What we are hearing out there is hearsay. What is people told us? What really happened?
Did you invite him officially?
Yes.
What was his response?
Actually, we wrote the letter to his office. He was not present that day. You understand? So we've not gotten any response.
Not even through lawyers?
In another development, a group of Nigerians on the Thursday staged a protest in Abuja decrying the state of insecurity in the southeast region. The protesters gathered at the gate of the National Assembly with placards. Some of the placards bore the images of victims of attack by gunmen in the region. The protesters, who wore branded T-shirts, also voted calls for the release of the self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed indigenous peoples of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. They called on President Bola Tinubu and the National Assembly not to yield to pressure to discontinue the ongoing trial of the IPOB leader.
Any microphone or go ahead. We are an organization known as Rescue Alibo. Rescue Alibo is a social-cultural organization of Nigerians from Africa. We are here to make it known to all Nigerians that we are all in support of justice. Please, IPOB is not evil.
Still to come, Dogara says President Tinubu deserves praise for education reforms. We will bring you more on this when we return.